Hi, my name is Dan Albalawi. I'm a professional makeup artist and hairstylist from Russia and also do a little bit of photography. In today's video, I want to speak about the new shade of the Dior Backstage blush, which I absolutely love, and also promised you that I will do the review on the second Glow Face palette. And while I still remember, please give this video a like, leave a comment and subscribe because I really need this channel to grow. Now let's go to the video. Dior Backstage formula was one of my favorite formulas. They changed it, so to be fair, these are my old Dior Backstage blushes, the coral one and the pink one, and I absolutely love their formula, how it stays on the skin and doesn't fade away. These are amazing blushes. If you want to watch the video about them, where I apply them on my skin, here's the link. Please go and watch. I also speak about the first Glow palette there as well. And in that video, I was telling that we need more shades because this blush is absolutely amazing. And they released new shades. And one of the shades really spoke to me, like personally. I felt like I really need that shade. And thankfully, finally, it appeared in the Turkish Sephora. And my husband managed to buy it, so I bought the shade 015 Cherry. First thing that we see is that they kind of changed the logo a little bit, so it was different. The weight of the blush also went down 0.2 grams, so it was 4.6 and became 4.4. This is not a drastic change, but we should keep that in mind. Also, if we look at the back, the old blush had the Dior Backstage written on it. The new packaging does not say that it's Backstage, it just says that it's Dior. And the same with the packaging, it does not say that it is Dior Backstage, it's just Dior. But these are all minor differences. The biggest one is that they reformulated the blush. What they did, they removed the scent of the blush. So before that it had this very fresh notes of roses, like really nice notes of roses. Now the new blush does not have this type of smell. I know that they did not scent it, but I feel the leaves of roses. Maybe it's because of the pigments in there. I can still feel the smell of this blush, but it's not the fragrance of roses that they use. So now it's considered to have no fragrance. Generally, this is good because there are people who are allergic to fragrances, and this way more people will have access to using this blush. What they also did, which is also quite drastic, they removed the talc from the formula. There are people who are sensitive to talc, and if they use products that have talc, they may develop breakups on their face, but generally there is nothing wrong with talc unless you breathe it in. Don't breathe powder, this is really bad for your lungs, don't do that. Other than that, talc is harmless unless you are sensitive to talc. The first ingredient now is synthetic fluorphlogopite. The second is dimethicone, then mica, and somewhere there is also silica. And when I touch the older blush, it feels quite silky. Yes, it's dry. This is one of the main characteristics, I think. Also very fine milled, and it has this powder finish. When touching the new formula, it is less powdery, it is less dry. I can still feel the pigment, but it is not that slippery. It feels more hybrid a little bit. The feel after it is more rubbery, I guess, which is quite interesting. I tried to apply the new blush on my bare face before, and I really liked the application. Even with fingers, it was very easy to distribute the product and blend it out, but I have not tried to apply it on top of foundation and full done makeup, and this will be my first try today. A big minus of Dior Backstage blush is that I hate their mirror. There's something wrong with it. It distorts the face, it does not give you clear reflection, so the mirror is almost unusable. I spoke about the formula. I want to speak about the shades a little bit more. So they released 4 new shades: Rosewood, Cherry, Mahogany, and Berry. I really was not impressed by the Mahogany shade. I watched how it looked on different skin tones. I don't know, I really did not want to buy it. Other 3 shades are very beautiful, but the one that really intrigued me was the cherry shade. This is how the cherry shade looks compared to the coral shade. I want to swatch all of my 3 blushes before applying the cherry blush on me. So, cherry, coral, pink. Pink, coral, cherry. But honestly, you cannot trust Dior Backstage swatches because they kind of change the shade on top of your skin. For example, the coral shade becomes more like corally peach, like less orange, more pinkish. I just wanted you to see the swatches. I already have on my face Kiko Milana Sculpting Touch Stick as my contour. And I also applied a little bit of Chanel 390 Soleil bronzer in the shade Universal. So it's the like yellowish bronzer. Here we go. I had 0 problems blending this shade. I'm actually a very big fan of more pigmented blushes. What do we see? I have yellowish bronzer, so it makes this blush a little bit like a dash more yellow, just a little bit. If we look how the shade looks in the pan, it is an orangey red color, while on the skin I say that it's a warm red, but it's a little bit less orange, and it's a very pretty shade. For me, it looks like a perfect blush for the tomato girl makeup look. I love this blush so much. It is not too orange, it is not pink, it is red. I really love red blush, and I think that it will look marvelous with a warm red lipstick. Because this blush is very pigmented, you can use it on deeper skin tones and it will show up and will look absolutely marvelous. And because this blush is extremely blendable, you can apply it even on much lighter skin tones. I also feel that this shade of blush will look absolutely marvelous for the makeup looks when you try to imitate like sunburn, like soft sunburn after being a lot on the beach. I think it will be perfect. I would say this blush is absolutely pretty, but I think if I'm going to mix it with the pink blush, this will be something absolutely extra, and I will do that in some following videos. So please be subscribed and you will definitely see that combo, like the mix of these 2 blushes on my face. That was it for the blush. Now it's time for the Glow palette number 2. If we look at the Glow face palettes, this is the first one, this is the second. The first one has a lot more variability. It has this white shade, it has this goldish shade, it has this pinkish violetish shade, and has this deep bronzy shade. Whereas this palette, it has this slightly yellowish shade, slightly pinkish shade that also has a yellow like goldish reflect, this peach highlighter, and this beautiful brown shade, bronzy shade. But we have more dynamics in the texture of the highlights in the second palette. This palette has absolutely identical texture in every shade. In this palette, these 2 have the same texture as in the first palette, but these 2 are much more like glittery. They have bigger particles. I want to swatch them to show you the comparison between the shades. So these are our swatches. This is the second palette and this is the first palette. I consider this shade to be a little bit maybe too deep. I tried it on deeper skin tones and it's still, for many people with darker skin, is way too dark, but it's still a beautiful shade. I think this shade is better, but it's my personal opinion. Maybe only for the deepest of the deepest. And as you can see, these shades, they look very similar to each other. This one is, the upper is a little bit more yellow, but it has this goldish reflect. This also has the goldish reflect, so the dynamics here is not as drastic as here. And again, honestly speaking, this shine was already a lot for commercial makeup. For many people, I wasn't able to apply it on their faces because it was way too much. I applied it on the chest. Whereas these 2 shades, they are even more glittery. They have bigger particles and they give you more shine and more like particles that you can see individual particles. And I feel that you only can use them on the eyes and on the chest, because on the face, in real life especially, it will be way too much. I want to demonstrate this palette on the skin, and I will start with this dark shade. I will apply it on my eyelids. I don't have anything special. I used Dear Dahlia tint in the shade Butterscotch, as well as I did in the first video dedicated to Dior Backstage blushes and Dior Backstage Glow Face palettes. So it's the same tint. I added a little bit of brown eyeshadow, a little bit of maybe pencil, lashes, that's it, like a little bit, just to enhance my shape of the eyes and make them bigger, fuller, doesn't matter. So it's very basic makeup. This bronzy shade has one of the most beautiful sheen, peachy pink sheen. It looks so amazing, and I think that on the deep skin tone, if you use it as your highlighter, it will look so good. As an eyeshadow, I absolutely love this shade. As my cheek highlight, I will use this peachy shade. This highlighter has a very beautiful beaming sheen, and it gives this goldish sheen, which I really enjoy. Honestly, if I'm choosing between this goldish highlighter or this I prefer much more, because it looks more natural on the skin. You really cannot detect this peach highlighter as much as you can detect the goldish highlighter in the first palette. This goldish shade may give you like a darker patch if you use it even on more tanner skin, whereas the peach shade is more translucent and you really cannot see it on the skin. As my inner corner highlighter, I will use this lemony shade. Looks fantastic. And to demonstrate you this shade, I will apply it on my collarbones. As you can see, this shade has a lot of individual glitters. I can see them in the mirror. On camera, when I'm filming, with the light and everything, it looks like a wet skin. So, the camera shows it as wet effect, but in real life, I can see every single small glitter here. They are ridiculously big, these particles. As my conclusion, if you are considering buying this palette, you should keep in mind that you should be a fan of yellowish goldish highlighters, and you should be ready that these two shades are very glittery. And that was it for today. I'm really glad that you watched till the end. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.